The morning of August 6, 1945, began with the hum of cicadas echoing through the quiet streets of Hiroshima. The sky was clear, the sun bright, and life in the city seemed untouched by the war that had raged for years. 7-year-old Emiko tied the red ribbon in her hair and skipped out the door with her school bag clutched tightly. She waved at her father, who worked at the post office, and smiled as her mother reminded her to be home for lunch. To Emiko, it was just another summer morning. She did not know the world was about to change forever. At her school, she sat among her classmates, practicing her writing. The air smelled faintly of chalk and wood. Suddenly, the windows glowed with an unnatural light, so bright that it blinded her for an instant. Before anyone could speak, a thunderous explosion tore through the building. The ceiling cracked, glass shattered, and Emiko was thrown across the room. Her ears rang with a deafening roar, and the air grew unbearably hot. Dust and smoke filled her lungs, making it hard to breathe. When she opened her eyes, she saw chaos. Her teacher lying motionless, children crying, others silent forever. She stumbled to her feet, her arms and face burned, her school uniform torn. She didn't recognize her classroom anymore. It was just rubble and flames. Outside, Hiroshima was unrecognizable. Houses had collapsed into heaps of ash. Fire swallowed entire neighborhoods. People staggered through the streets, their skin burned and hanging in strips, their voices hoarse with desperate cries for water. Some were too injured to move, others lay still on the ground. Emiko screamed for her mother, for her father. No one answered. She ran barefoot through the wreckage, stepping on glass and hot debris. The air smelled of smoke and death. She saw a woman carrying a baby, both covered in burns. She saw men and women with hollow eyes, stumbling toward the river. When Emiko reached the riverbank, the sight froze her heart. Hundreds of people crowded the water's edge, their bodies blackened by fire. Many collapsed into the river, seeking relief, but the water was filled with lifeless bodies, drifting silently with the current. Somehow, through the devastation, she found her mother. Her clothes were burned, her body trembling with pain, but she was alive. They searched for Emiko's father for days, but he never returned. He had vanished in the flash of light, like so many others. The days that followed were even harder. Survivors, later called Hibakusha, suffered from wounds that would not heal. Strange sicknesses spread, fevers, bleeding, hair falling out. Emiko saw her friends weaken and die, even when they seemed unhurt at first. She clung to her mother, but the world around her was broken. For a long time, Emiko had nightmares of that morning. She would wake to the sound of phantom screams, the blinding flash, the burning sky. But she grew older, and with each year, she carried the memory more strongly. She realized she had survived for a reason. She began to tell her story, not of politics, not of military victories, but of children and families, of homes and schools reduced to ash in an instant. She wanted the world to know what the atomic bomb meant, not as a weapon, but as human suffering. War is not about soldiers and maps, she would say softly. It is about children who never go home, about mothers who lose their sons, about fathers who never return. Every year on August 6th, the bells of Hiroshima ring. Children float paper lanterns down the Motoyasu River, each carrying a prayer for peace. Emiko joins them, her wrinkled hands lighting a lantern, her eyes watching the soft glow drift into the darkness. She whispers the same words she has spoken since that terrible day. Let no child ever see what I saw. Hiroshima's story is not just Japan's story. It is humanity's story, a reminder of how far destruction can go when hate and war are chosen over peace. Through the eyes of a child, the tragedy becomes even clearer. The numbers, tens of thousands gone in an instant, are too large to imagine. But the image of one little girl standing in the ashes, searching for her mother, is something the world can never forget. Emiko's story lives on, told to students, to families, to people across the world. She tells it not for pity, but for hope. Hope that her voice and the voices of other survivors will stop humanity from repeating the same mistake. The mushroom cloud that rose over Hiroshima was a symbol of death. But the lanterns floating on the river each August are symbols of life, of memory, and of the unbreakable desire for peace. And somewhere among those lanterns, the story of a 7-year-old girl who lost her father, her classmates, and her childhood in a single flash of light still drifts gently on the water, reminding us of the promise we must keep, that no child, anywhere, should ever have to live through Hiroshima again.